Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. The afternoon class passes once again. I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from almost total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I borrowed into the return slot at the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it. Quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Oh, sorry, Yuko, I didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine, it happens. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? That's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do. And after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section, towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako has been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her, like last time, and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remains, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. Feeling utterly drained, I'm gonna lower the volume. Feeling utterly drained, I head to my room to read the books I borrowed. There's been enough action and excitement for one day already. At first is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I know the story, of course, but I've never actually read the original book. It's just as trippy as I remember the story to be, with wacky characters and nonsense plot. It is a good story. I started to read it for a video. I even answered my own take on the classic riddle, how is a raven like a writing desk? You can just type in Alice into my search bar on my channel and you'll get the video. I start thinking of myself as some kind of an Alice too, haplessly tumbling down the rabbit hole into this cripple wonderland. Okay, that's a rather strong expression. Still, the isolated location and the overt way the school accommodates to absolute everything is unsettling. It's like another world. I wonder why. I can't shake this feeling of being an outsider like Alice, despite most everyone being so hospitable and friendly with me. Turning another page, my mind starts drifting further away from the book. It's quiet. I can hear my heartbeat thumping against the fabric of my shirt. For some reason, it makes me feel really bad, like it has since the time in the forest of Iwanko, like I was locked in a cage with something nasty and scary. I put the book down for a while and stared at the ceiling, taking my time to shake off the feeling. 200 pages later, I fall asleep. The students roll into class for Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until lunch break, and then our time is our own. Mutuo lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some pages and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partly be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizune aren't present, probably doing council work at the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Nakai, can I speak with you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Mutuo approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Mutuo stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say, not knowing what's going on. I wait silently. I heard from the school's head nurse that you had an incident the other day. Oh, so it's about that. Well, kind of, but it's not anything to be worried about. Yes, it is. Anything that can endanger your health is something to be worried about. We try our best here to prepare you for life here. Part of that involves knowing your limits and how to work around them. It would be remiss of me if I didn't speak up about this. All right, I get it. I'm sorry. Muto closes his eyes in frustration, and I realize that this probably wasn't the best thing to say. Something tells me that you're not sorry. Pretend as much as you want, but this isn't a normal school. A lot of people have put a lot of time and effort and money to make sure you and every other student here can have the same level of education as your peers. For you to abuse that by throwing out advice, especially medical advice, is plain selfish. I'm not quite sure if this is actually how he feels or if it's some act that he's practiced many times to guilt-trip students into doing right the thing. Either way, it's working. Sorry I exist? I understand this is all new to me, and I apologize. I know my limits now, and I'll be sticking to them. Muto appears to lighten up a little, satisfied with this message has been received. So then, on to the next question. How are you finding the studies? I understand you were laid up for a while? We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. Well, yeah, you've got to keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right, yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but one of them, the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over, and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scattered-brained approach to life. I think in hindsight that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant, I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back to the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother. Their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the nearest silence that Muto and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks, and the remaining class time away, till finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink, as everyone rushes to the last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions, so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako, but it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lead splinters against the paper. Just when I was about to finish a paragraph, the sound of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako. Her name is all it takes for Hanako to jump up from her desk and run to Lily. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye out of sheer curiosity, at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her, though. Her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. After about 10 minutes of restlessly shuffling in her seat and trying to read, Hanako closes her book and leaves too, as should I, since the assignment is all but finished and there is nothing else to do in the classroom. Not that I have anything to do anywhere else either. The school is a beehive of activity, but nobody pays me any heed. I saunter past classrooms filled with students, frantically doing this and that, buzzing around like little worker bees. You wouldn't guess that the school day is over. It's a bit quieter outside, but not by much. People zip by left and right, hurrying as quickly as they can. Busy and energetic. I feel the opposite. The midday sun seems to be draining all the spirit out of my body, making it feel limp all over. Warm, soft air flows inside my shirt, feeling like a cushion. I yawn lazily, thinking about what I'd do. I'll drop off my books at the dorms first, and then something I haven't decided yet. Maybe Kenji is in his room. On the way to the doors, I spot Emmy coming my way, running despite not having those weird running prosthetics on. I wave at her, and she skids to a stop. Yo, Hisao! Spatters of white and green paint adorn her nose and chin, respectively. But her smile is wide, as it seems it always is. She leans closer to me, amplifying the feelings she is examining me. What you doing? Nothing really. I don't have anything to do for festival, and everyone else seems to be doing something important. That's perfect. Then you can help me and Rin. With the festival preparations, I'm not sure I would be of much help. That's fine. I'm not much help either. Emmy grabs my wrist and starts dragging me back inside the school, quite forcefully. Even her walking speed is more like jogging, making me stumble over myself simply trying to keep up. The stairs slow me down a little bit. Maybe it's hard to climb with her legs. Or maybe she's finally run out of breath. We go all the way back to the 3rd floor, into the seniors' hallway, ending up where I left 5 minutes ago. I could just as well have stayed here waiting for Emmy, had I known. So is Ren working on that mural still? That's right, she needs all kinds of paints and brushes and stuff, so I went to get them from the art classroom. The noises I'm currently hearing are making me uncomfortable. And you need me to help with that? Well, Ren told me you had already helped her, so I thought you wouldn't mind. I see. So thanks to Emmy's flaky logic, here I am again, collecting stuff from the art classroom for other people. The room is empty apart from ourselves, and the lonely specks of dust floating in the air. Emmy skips straight away to the back wall, taking out a tiny, crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. While she tries to make sense of the scrawled handwriting, I take a closer look at the materials lying around here. Dozens of paint cans and bottles are arranged on the shelves in a most unorganized fashion. Some look like they have been left there for several decades, relics of previous art club generations. Next to the heavy stacks of neatly piled drawing paper are boxes full of different sized brushes and unsorted crayons. The smells of paint, turpentine, and fresh paper float in the stale air, making my nostrils to form that unmistakable scent of art. Emmy studies her notes, comparing them to markings in the various paint cans, and passes them to me as she finds the correct matches. She stretches her neck to look on, the topmost shelved, but it's not quite enough. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Emmy gives up and just looks up to the shelf longingly. Like a child at a toy store huffing in annoyance, After a moment of building anger, she starts jumping up and down, apparently trying to speed read the labels. During the fraction of a second she can see them and catch what she can. It's no surprise that she fails miserably and almost manages to bring the entire shelf crashing down. Now I see why me lending a hand here would be useful. Come on, let me do that. You can't jump high enough, and I don't want you to get hurt yourself trying. Also, I'm like twice your height. You are not. She turns around, flaring scorn, flushed cheeks and all. Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, I'll look up there, okay? She glares at me one more time, but can't come with a retort. With a grudging humph, turns her back to me. So I begin scrounging around the top shelf for paint, while below Emmy crouches to scavenge what she can from the cupboards. I shake my head a little, after double-checking to ensure she can't see me do so. Emmy having a complex about her height was a surprise. I wouldn't have joked about it otherwise. She seems easygoing, but I guess everyone has their weak spots. Only after we have almost all the items collected, I spread out on the desk like a treasure hunt with spoils, do I realize it wasn't necessary the height jab that got her right all up. She might not like the idea of being told she can't do something like jump. But Emmy herself seems to have forgotten all about it already. Quick to anger, quick to forgive. Is she that type of person? At least she doesn't seem to have taken anything to heart, as she chatters away happily while we pick up the rest of the items, and then make our way back to Rin. I chivalrously carry the bulk of the materials as we make our way toward the dormitories. Rin is really stressed about her getting her painting done. It's her own fault though, she should have started earlier. Is she going to make it? No idea. It looks good to me, but with Rin, you never know what's going on. I found her this morning lying in front of the dorm in fetal position. She hadn't slept all night. I can't believe that the night nurses hadn't found her. And now she's painting again like crazy. Yeah, I've noticed that she comes off as kind of unhinged, so to speak. Emmy giggles at that, as well as my likely too obvious awkwardness. I don't mind it, she's just a little weird sometimes. On that I can agree with her. Unlike me, Emmy seems to be cool with friends, whatever it is, that feels so off about her. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizunu do, with them working as a single entity sometimes. It's hard to say where one ends and the other begins, even though they're so different, just like Emmy and Rin are. And Rin is the most different of them all, different from anyone else I've met. Yeah, I guess she's a very unique person. I'll return to that word again, as if it encompasses Rin's personality by itself, but really it's just a substitute for a lengthy description of her oddities. Emmy giggles as I grasp out for a properly descriptive word. She's just weird. You know, earlier, she just spent half an hour sitting on her box and stared at her toes. She giggles in a way that makes me think that she doesn't know what's funny about it, just is. All that time, the working area is a mess, but the mural itself has taken over even more of the wall since I had last seen it. The disfigured human figures have been mostly colored in tones of red, pink, and orange, weird, imaginary things populating the space between. It looks nice. I can't think of any other word to describe the work concisely and comprehensively, so I settle myself on a nondescript nice. But honestly, it seems that the area around the wall becomes untidy at the same rate as the mural progresses. The ground is littered with dozens of paint cans, various art supplies, and empty soda bottles. Rin herself is in the center of the chaos, standing there looking very cozy as she was a natural part of the scene. Her pant legs have been rolled up to her knees, exposing her thin legs, which sport a drying spectrum of war paintings similar to those on Emmy's face. Are you really that short? Or is just Ren super tall? Emmy sprints to Ren ahead of me and gleefully jumps up in front of her. I'm back. That was fast. Did you run in the corridors again? Has Sao helped me? Emmy points victoriously at me. Ren turns around, following Emmy's finger with her eyes, looking at my general direction. She nods absent-mindedly at me. She looks like she hasn't slept since last night. A vacant, glazed stare that's focused slightly off me, and movements like in a slow-motion movie. Hello, Asao. Thank you for the help. Don't mention it. I just did. Never mind. Looks like you've made progress. Looking good as far as I can tell. But now, you get more bad luck. I know, but I'm willing to take the risk. That's a very nice thing to say, for me of course. Not for you. This is why artists are always unlucky. They have to constantly look at their unfinished paintings. So artists can't find romance. Their favorite TV shows are cancelled, or they die young because of an unspecified disease. It's a deep, mysterious law of the universe. Unless they are blind. She considers this remote, looking like she's going to fall asleep. There is a boy. At the art club, you see, blind boy, so he doesn't see. He should become an artist. No bad luck guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize, but I can't remember the name of. Emmy arranges the supplies we brought and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Emmy, I need the Prussian blue paint. Which one's Prussian blue? She is staring helplessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with Prussian blue paint in it. Geez, Ren, you're not helping at all. I'll look around as well, though I don't know what Prussian blue looks like either. I wonder what blue has to do with Prussia. Or what Prussia even is. Technically the old name for Germany. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. Not the literal... Like, there's more to it than that, but that's the general gist of what Prussia is. While none of it blue looks more Prussian than the others, the small print on the label, legibly enough to determine that none of them say anything about the contents being Prussian. There is no Prussian blue here. We need to get more then. I open my mouth to say that actually we're not both needed for such a simple task like finding another pot of Prussian blue. But Emmy's already grabbed my arm and started dragging me off? I waved to Ren, who doesn't seem to have noticed that the two of us are even leaving. Well, she'll notice when she goes for the Prussian blue and finds out it's not there. Maybe. Probably not actually. Though, while I'm busy thinking of how weird Ren is, Emmy's been dragging me back to the art classroom. I feel myself starting to run out of breath. What's the rush? Huh? Emmy's giving me a praising look as if she's trying to figure something out. It's just that you seem to be in a hurry. I'm not sure I can keep up. Compre- Comprehension dawns on her face. You're not out of breath, are you? There's almost an accusing playfulness to her tone. I'm tempted to deny it, but then I realize that I've been breathing heavy since we stopped. Guess it's kinda obvious. A little. Not everybody can be in shape, you know. Takes all kinds, right? Emmy frowns. It's not a particularly good frown. That is, I should get in shape? Not that I hadn't already been decided to try for that. Been trying. After that little flutter on the track, I figured there's a real need to get into some sort of running habit. I was, after all, feeling pretty good until I had that false alarm. Well, actually I wasn't, but it was fun. Meanwhile, my comment seems to have helped Emmy come to some sort of decision. Well, that's it then. She gives me a serious look. You're joining me. I beg your pardon. In the mornings. You and I are now running partners. I've got a routine all planned out, in fact. She produces a crumpled sheet of paper. I've got it right here with me. I take the sheet of paper and give it a once-over. Times, dates, laps, all laid out. A slow increase from just a few laps a day to, my God, does she expect me to have her running marathons? And where did she find the time to get all this together? And how long has she been planning this anyway? You've been planning this? A little. But it's really the nurse's idea. He told me to keep an eye on you to make sure you exercise like he told you to. A vast conspiracy. Maybe Kenji's in on something here. This seems to be a bit much just for keeping an eye on me. Well, to be honest, I've been trying to find a running partner in the mornings for a while now. My God, Kenji, if you could only see the scheme unfolding. What do you need a partner for anyway? It's easier to keep up a workout if you're not the only one doing it. Isn't that obvious? You're less likely to quit if someone else is counting on you to be there, right? I see. This will only keep you running, but it will make sure that I keep running as well. Meaning that I'll be obeying the nurse. And I'll be keeping an eye on you, just like you asked. You caught on quick, Asao. And if I refuse... I have no intention of refusing, of course. But I've got to at least put up a token resistance to such a masterly executed plan. Well, if you refuse, I'd have to pout. And you'd have to live with being the guy who made Emi Ibarazaki pout. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? As if to demonstrate, Emi begins pouting. It is the most adorable, heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen. Okay, I'll do it. Just don't do that. I feel like I just hit a puppy. So it's settled, right? You're going to be my running partner. Follow the workout. And dietary plan? Dietary plan. Yeah, the dietary plan. You've got to eat healthy if you're going to get in shape, you know. I examine the workout routine closely. I don't see a dietary plan on here. Oh, right, I forgot to give that to you. Another crumpled sheet of paper is produced and handed over. It's somewhat less detailed. I had the nurse help me come up with it. The amount of dedication the nurse has to keep me in good health is pretty overwhelming. I don't know how many school nurses would get one of their students to spy on me, much less come help a dietary plan. Then again, I guess I'm not in a normal school. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Then again, this dietary plan seems to cut out just about everything that'll be offered at the festival tomorrow. So when does our running start? After the festival. Right after? What if I had something to eat there? I could get a stomachache, you know. I meant the day after the festival. I knew that. Wasn't there something we were supposed to be doing? Oh, I guess we should find that paint for Ren. Oh no, it slipped my mind. By the time we get the paint and get back to the mural, Ren's already wandered off. Oh well. Emma and I both decide to part ways. There, leaving the paint on the ground. Ren will find it, whenever she comes back anyway. Festival's tomorrow. I'm actually a little excited for it. At the same time, the weeks left me feeling pretty tired. So I read a little and then go to bed. The next day I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine. Since it's Sunday, there are no classes.